Oh, we're gonna get the genie?
You really don't know who I am. Genie, wishes, lamb, none of that ringing a bell.
What the f? How's it going, film nerds? My name is Ryan Walsh, and with the release of the Aladdin trailer last Monday, a lot of people obviously really hated that trailer, and you can just see it by the amount of dislikes on the trailer itself. But the funny thing is that people weren't disliking this trailer because of the movie itself or even any of the main cast. It was all because of the genie. And a lot of people have been complaining for a long time about Disney remaking some of their best animated movies into live action. And I think with this trailer, it really justifies all of their complaints because the genie in the whole movie doesn't really look that great. So today we're going to be exposing Disney for the greedy company that they are and really digging into how Disney ruined Aladdin. Now I know a lot of you are thinking the Aladdin movie isn't even out yet, so how the hell could Disney have ruined the movie already? Well, before all of you Disney lovers rage quit this video, just hear me out. I think you might be surprised by the end of this video. Now, in order for us to get to the bottom of this issue, we first have to get to the root of the problem. Like, why is Disney making all of these awesome animated movies into live action? Well, we can figure this out by taking a look at all the movies they've come out with from 2009 all the way up to present day. Now, a lot of people look at Disney and only see the successful franchises that they have, whether it being something like Marvel Studios, maybe even something like Star Wars and Lucasfilm, or even maybe Pixar with Toy Story, and even Disney Animation with The Lion King. All of these different Disney film franchises make the studio billions of dollars. And yeah, you heard that right, billions of dollars. See, movies like Star Wars The Force Awakens, Frozen, or even something like The Avengers are all billion-dollar franchises, and they're some of the highest grossing films of all time. But there was and still is one category that Disney has for films that just don't make them those billion dollars, and that's Disney live action films, excluding Pirates of the Caribbean. Looking at movies like Tomorrowland, Race to Witch Mountain, Big Friendly Giant, A Wrinkle in Time, or even the most recent bomb, The Nutcracker. See, all of these movies have lost the studio money or maybe just broke even just by a little bit. And all those greedy businessmen over at Disney, obviously they're looking at these results of these live action films and they're thinking to themselves, why would we even invest any money or time into this? This isn't good enough, we need more money. But even for somebody like myself that watches multiple movies a week, I personally didn't even have any interest in watching any of these movies because they just didn't look good. And these movies aren't cheap to make either. A lot of the budgets for these movies range from $120 million all the way up to $190 million, which is a ton of money to make these movies because that's the equivalent of making, say, a Star Wars movie or even a Marvel movie. And looking at Disney's biggest flop, A Wrinkle in Time, the movie's production budget was about $130 million to make, and just looking at how much it made worldwide, it was about $132 million. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, Ryan, that doesn't make any sense. It's technically not a bomb because the movie actually made $2 million for the studio. And that's exactly where all these box office numbers get a little confusing, because the only thing that these box office numbers are really saying is that the budget for the overall production value, which is just the money that it takes to make the movie, that's what's being calculated here, instead of, say, something like the advertising budget, which is where they really go and promote the movie, where it could be something of billboards, trailers, and YouTube ads, all those different things to really get the word out about this movie coming out. That's something that we don't get to see within these numbers. And for this sort of movie, which is going to be costing $130 million to make, usually the promotional budget is somewhere between $50 million all the way up to $100 million to really promote this movie. So when you look at all those numbers put together, this is definitely a huge bomb for the studio, and they lost millions of dollars making this movie. So Disney, seeing all their other franchises really succeed at the box office, this really got them thinking and saying, hey, how can we take these live action movies and make them the billion-dollar franchises? And looking at one in particular film that came out in 2010, Disney figured out exactly how they could solve this problem, and that's by just looking at Alice in Wonderland. You see, the movie made over $1 billion, even though it wasn't received well by the fans or the critics. This didn't really matter to Disney though, because they thought to themselves of the simple business model, hey, if we remake some of our classic films, then we can actually get people's butts in seats and they will go see the movie just because they love those classic films and they want to see the remake. However, there is a flip side to this, and that simply is if the movie isn't received well by fans and critics, don't make a second movie. Just take the money you made and run. Don't make a sequel, or else it'll turn into Alice Through the Looking Glass, and that movie did absolutely horrible at the box office. And Disney decided to do this again in 2014 when they came out with Maleficent, and this wasn't a straight adaptation from the original source material, which was Sleeping Beauty. This was something that was completely different, where we're looking at the villain's perspective of this movie, and that movie did just as well. Now, it didn't make $1 billion, but it made close to $1 billion with $758 million worldwide. This is exactly where Disney started making the trend, and movies like Beauty and the Beast and Jungle Book were turned into live action movies. And guess what? They were huge successes for the studio. I will give Disney credit though, because they did make some pretty solid movies with both the Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast. I think both those movies are pretty damn good. So I think we can really just look at Disney's track record and come to the conclusion that we're probably going to get some great remakes, but also some ones that are just absolutely horrible. And just looking at the Disney classic remakes that we're going to be getting this summer with Aladdin and The Lion King, with Lion King probably going to be that awesome film, and then Aladdin being that absolutely terrible film, especially with the genie. Now, casting this character is a huge challenge for the studio because they no longer have Robin Williams. I mean, the original animator for the Aladdin movie, Eric Goldberg, said before Genie was even cast in the film, he drew the genie to mirror Robin Williams because he thought he was perfect for the role. And just looking back at the film, it really feels like no one could ever touch the genie other than Robin Williams. Now that Will Smith is in the role, it didn't initially bother me, but now really just seeing it from the trailer, I think he looks absolutely horrible with that CGI version, and also the human form that we saw him in within those Entertainment Weekly photos as well. This is what makes me nervous the most, because Genie is probably one of the biggest characters in the entire movie. If you get him wrong, then the entire movie just falls apart completely. And for everybody that's saying that the CGI just isn't finished yet and they're not ready for the trailers, well, then why show it in the trailers at all? If they're not ready for the genie to be within those trailers and the CGI just isn't ready yet, save it for the movie. Why would they put it in there? Because everybody is going to freak out if he doesn't look good, which is exactly what happened. Honestly though, I feel like this is something that Disney knew already going into this movie, and instead of saying, well, let's not ruin the movie or the character, they said, no way, let's make this Aladdin movie because we know this is probably going to turn out to be $1 billion movie. And Disney is 100% right, because all the fans from the original movie, even some little kids now, are probably going to go see this movie. And honestly, for myself, I am definitely going to be one of those people. I will bitch and moan about this movie if it turns out bad, but yeah, I'm going to be one of those people that's going to see it no matter what. But if you enjoyed this Disney theory, definitely be sure to check out this Pixar theory right over here if you're interested for more. But thank you all very much for watching, and embrace your inner film nerd. Bye-bye.